So all the techniques that we have in yoga are to tame the mind, focus its attention, withdraw it from its sensory experience and bring your attention into the present moment and experience the power of now. The moment of power of now, you're in touch with all that exists. Because no longer you're in the form. The form and the confined levels are in the memories of the past and the future, which are worn out memories. They don't even exist. They just exist in our own mind. So when you go beyond the mind, which I think Jill Bolte Taylor, the neuroscientist, has given a very clear-cut understanding of how that process works. When you shift from the left brain to the right brain, perception of reality changes, your sense of self-image changes, and the sense of self expands into infinity, and all that you experience, that you are the universe. That's what yoga is all about. Aham Brahm Asmi. That I am that, or so hum, that I am. So through a process of negation, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not the mind, I'm not the body, I'm not the matter. I am that. So what is that? That's the unknown. So the unknown cannot be experienced in the rational mind. So that's why you have to transcend into the higher levels of awareness. So everything that yoga provides is evolution of consciousness, or to go into the higher levels of awareness. Just like we are in this planet, this is gross. But then the air is finer, and the space is finer. As you go above, then there's no gravity. Everything changes. So the finest, invisible, beyond matter, pure energy is the source. Unmanifest source for all material manifestation. When it's dormant, it's unmanifest. When there's activity, it comes into manifested form. So once that principle is understood, then you can see why we are here, what's our meaning and purpose of life. Everything unfolds itself. Then we are not trapped in the illusion of the misconception of reality. And the non-real, which we have experienced as real, which is in form, that will change into your experience of the real, unmanifest source, which we are grounded into. We are not separate from or other than. And the best way to understand that is through an analogy, just like in a wave that comes out of the ocean. It comes from the invisible source, it becomes visible, it goes back to the invisible source. But the wave cannot exist by its own. It is supported by the ocean. We are an ocean of pure awareness, supported by, grounded into, created by, guided by the source. So that experience is liberating. Then we are no longer trapped into. So all the other techniques that are there, the pranayama, the bandhas, the kriyas, are to help tame the mind, purify the mind, shift into a transcendental level of experience, more abstract rather than concrete. We have to step out of the form to understand this principle. And that can only take place through chittam, vritti, nirodham, suspension of the mental chatter. When the mind is calm, which is precisely happened in Jill Bolte Taylor's case. In Jill Bolte Taylor's case, her left brain got suspended due to the brain damage. So instead of a brain damage, we can put the left brain into the trance-like perception, ultra-cognitive trance-like perception. That will take us to the higher level. And the similar experience, as a neuroscientist, she has explained what that experience is and how that happens. It's about science. It's not a voodoo stuff. It's not something, it's just mere imagination or some sort of a fantasy. It's not hallucination. This is a real experience of transcending into the higher levels, the pure essence of who we are. Cause and effect are inseparable. So that cause is still there, guiding whatever it has created. So how to get to this experience, whether it is one form of exercise and the other form of techniques which are very specialized and not understood sufficient enough. So that's what I have explored into the whole methodology of the system, and into smaller bits explain into what the postures do, what the breathing does, and then how that other stages of withdrawal of the mind, the stage of pratyahara can establish. So these are the 8 steps which are distinct different levels of awareness. Like from the waking experience, we go into the dream state. You cannot have the same bundle that we carry in the waking in the dream state. Dream state is completely other than the waking. And then we go into higher levels of deep sleep. Now the deep sleep has gone even deeper than the dream stage. So likewise, there are other levels which are as distinct, as real as the waking, as the dream, and as the deep sleep. So how to experience those invisible levels and being aware of them, which the rational mind is not capable of. Therefore, we have to go into silence. Suspension of the mental chatter will create a moment of silence. In silence, you're in touch with all that there is, that the science is trying to explore. Everything is in the Akashic field, which is the field of all possibilities. And once we are able to abide into that field, we can live there as comfortably as we live in the rational mind. To abide into your true nature as a spiritual being. And then the spiritual being, the qualities of the spiritual being are awakened from within. They're already there, which are obscured by the rational mind. The new story and the melodrama that the mind has created, which is based upon fears and anxieties and worries and anger and the frustrations and jealousy and hatred, they cannot produce healing energy. So when that shift takes place into the spiritual being, the feelings of love, compassion, forgiveness, and all the other caring and sharing and selfless actions, and that's where the bhakti yoga, the karma yoga come into one's life. And all that you feel is a new purpose and meaning to life. The intention shifts into, how can I serve the universe? Because we receive so much from the universe, we owe it to the universe, and that's what we're here for. To help each other and to experience that we are all the same beings in different disguises. We are not separate. Our rational mind has created a level of separation, and therefore we have that animosity. We think somebody is trying to hurt me and somebody is trying to do harm to me. That notion will disappear. That all that you experience a oneness with all that exists. That's magical. That's so profound. That all that experience at that moment is sense of joy and connect with all that exists. And we abide that experience as comfortably as we're in deep sleep, as we're in a waking experience. It's a level of awareness as distinct as other levels. And once that understanding comes, it's so comforting and it's so simple. Yet, to get there, all the work, all the practices, and all the techniques are designed to hasten the whole process to be able to access that level. And that then you can walk your talk, you can, no matter where you are, there's no sense of adversity in your mind anymore. Everything that is happening is the way it is intended to be, from some higher design, which we've been identified ourselves with as God. And God is also G-O-D, generator, the organizer, and the destroyer. These are the three processes that our life is coming out from. It's a cyclic flow. Whereas from the quantum physics point of view, we can call it the quantum leap, where you go to the unmanifest source, and eventually the energy and information are the raw material for that unmanifest source. When the energy moves, it creates, when it's instead of silence, instead of suspension, and it goes back into the unmanifest source. So how to realize those levels and create new insights which are not conceptual, which are direct experience that come. Therefore, we can literally create a euphoric, fulfilling experience in our everyday life while we're alive. Is not afterlife, is during life. Afterlife, what is going to happen is unpredictable, which is, from the system, it's understandable how that process also works. And again, all the techniques that are developed is to refine these levels so that you can enjoy the experience of your everyday life. When you enjoy, then you can teach and help others. Then it comes from a different place, a sense of trust, that if you can experience it, everybody can experience it. We all have the access to these, but there's a sense of urgency that has to come. And that sense of urgency is hidden. So when we start paying attention to go into the simple form of yoga, simple position of the yoga, that gives that little feeling of that there must be much more. So instead of just like being a swimmer in the ocean, on the beach, you feel like being a scuba diver. And as a scuba diver, what you experience is what exactly, from the yoga perspective, can happen. That all that you want is to go deeper and deeper and begin to see the magic and miracle, which now from other scientists, from their research, now we begin to understand that that field is far more real, far more euphoric than all the other stuff that we are preoccupied with and hoping our pleasure and joys to come from greater success, from greater power, from greater wealth, from the other stuff, which we have seen in many cases, like Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson and Marilyn Monroe's. They had everything that you can ever imagine, the glitter and the glamour and the recognition and the wealth and the prosperity, and yet deep inside there was a lot of unhappiness. We can change all that in a conscious way. And without all that, we can experience a joy of self-sufficiency, being in that plane of all possibilities, which is far more richer experience than any of the external stuff that can provide. But that self of power is based upon something else that will create it. A new car, a new promotion, a new relationship. And this is completely independent of all that. It is not because of them. From the very true nature, this experience of joy will well over. From the true nature, the experience of that we're all the spiritual being and different disguises. That's where love is not just an emotion. It's from the very creative core of existence, that feeling that will come, which is called Satchitanand, absolute joy, everlasting joy, not the fleeting moments of a little happiness and a little sadness, which keeps alternating itself like a yo-yo. This is a complete experience of joy. There may be a little tiny moment of here and there, which is like a little feeble wave. They are no longer the tidal waves that we experience of depression and anxiety, otherwise in our normal life. We can improve the quality of our life through this whole process.